play it back from right at the open here. Let's see, is that the open? Okay, so I have two different types of gap styles I trade, and I like to trade both. Or no, depending on the day and the opening, I trade it how it is. So what I want to point out here is that we have a large closing gap here, a large closing balance right here below us, and the larger the balance, usually the more of a move in the direction that we open it's likely to go, or it's likely to get support, as of what I noticed so far. And I'm going to stick to that. So what I have here, put this over here so it's out of the way, right there. What I have here is the market's opening gapped up, and the gap is fairly large. This is a fairly large gap. It's about 40 points, 45 pips. So I'm looking for one of two things to take place here. And first, because it is a large gap, I call them strong gaps. And I'm looking for the market to allow me a short towards gap, find support, and then I want to be long. And that's it. Those are my two hypos that I want to play the most. My third hypo is failure to find a buyer and continue up and just keep failing down. But because we're gapped up in large gap and we're above the closing balance, which is quite large, I am only looking to be a buyer today. Now, like I said, I want to trade a hypo 1, which is look short for the gap. Then I want to flip into hypo 2, which is look to be a buyer. And I'm going to review that here. So remember, this is a large gap. Actually, no, we call this a strong gap, but I'll put large gap. Large gap. And on a large gap, I'm looking for a retrace towards gap and find support towards in the direction of the gap. And what I'm looking for is the market to balance, push lower, see if you can find a continued seller, or push down, pull up, balance, push up, then try to break this balance or find support at it, either one, and not continue lower. I want it to push, and I want rejections quick off of a level somewhere down here for me to say, okay, lay off the short, time to look long. Do a quick replay here. I'll put it on 30x. Like I said, I'm looking for a reason to get short. So market pushes up, balances. Oh, another thing I want to point out too is the distance we move from this value area gives me a strong decision on how the market's going to move. So here we have a balance. If I want to get short, I want the market below this balance. Now remember, I'm looking short first. So I don't necessarily want to be a buyer just yet, because we are opened up at 60 pips. I'm looking for this market to either push this way and I can sell it higher, or find a seller and I can get short. So here's the first bounce. Now I do not care how high it goes, I just want to be able to sell it first towards the gap. Okay, and there's my second bounce. So now I want to be short against this. We've pushed out, not too far. Okay, so now I can get short. Bam. This is my first area to get short. It's against this balance and that balance. Perfect place to get short. I can I'll review my strategy too, which is 5 lots max M6E. And what I'm looking to do is put 2 on and add up to 3 more. I'm looking for 10 pips on my first and 20 on the overall VO. So if I have a 2 lot on, one must come off at plus 10. I'm going to review this every day. So there we go, we get another lower low. Now, I don't want the market back in over 35. I want it to either push in, but I want it to reject out. But because we got a lower low, and also notice no balance yet. Market forces itself right back up, and there we go, we get our extension. So I'd be out on my positions and I'd be looking long. We get a first reaction. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the reaction. It's quite strong. It rejects pretty quickly. What I don't want to see is it balancing at the low. I want to see this market get away from this zone. And there we go. There's our first balance. I want to see this push up, and I want to look to get long into it. I'll put my first 2 units on, and I'll look to scale into 13, which gives me 10 pips of risk. And we are testing this balance here. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see it put in a lower low either. I want to see this market follow through and go higher. We get our first 34 pip leg down. There's likely chance that the market will try to put in a secondary leg. There's the secondary leg. That would be long. 24. I might have been able to add here. But remember, my position's not wrong until we push into this balance and can't get back out of it. Then I would look to lay off and stop out of it. My initial position was short, looking for a push to this value area high of prior day's close, and I'm looking for the market to find a buyer at some point. That's why that short would have worked. Look at the distance pushed out of that value area. Gives you another 10 pips, 15 pip scale. If you're lucky, probably 10. But I do want to be a buyer, and because this is a large gap and a large value area, I'm looking to be aggressive on the long side as we push into it for higher prices. Market tries again, but look at these rejections. They're fast, they're quick, and they're moving upwards. These are all signs that I want to see when I'm trading. Got a double top here. This is good. This looks good for the longs. Market has muted its selling, it's balancing, and now it looks like it's about to go up higher. I do want to draw a volume profile over the balance so I can get a good understanding of where we stand here. How's that balance? That's this balance. There we go. The market is pushed back into the 35. I want to see the market try to push out of it, but I want to see it step back in it and start to walk itself to the other side of balance. And my long target would be up here. This is how I need to trade. So, what do I say? Large gap up, sell short for gap, buy in the gap direction. That's it. Those are my two hypos. My third hypo is obviously failure, which will happen. Not necessarily all the time, but I have to stay mentally strong and look to be buying into this, knowing that the chances that it's going to hold are much higher, much probabilistic for my favored move up, especially with this big value area down here. My silly case, I actually took short. Market balanced and pushed lower. I took it short here at 25. It's a terrible idea. Terrible. You know, my short was here, the push back into this. All of this was short for this, looking for this break here. And then if I wanted to get aggressive again, I could have sold into the value area low here for another push down. The market starts to stair step up, balances here. It's a strong balance. I don't have to be panicky yet. What I wanted to see though was this balance here, and I wanted to see the market not be able to get below it. So it kind of pushes down and gets right back up in it, pushes down, gets right back up in it. That's what I wanted to see. I'm looking for this type of balance here on a large gap push for the gap. I'm looking for this type of balance when I'm looking short. I want to see the market get under it and then push in my direction. This balance here gives me the reason to say, okay, now it's time to look long. That's it. That's where the market closed, up here. So, I don't draw volume profiles much. Definitely worked well. Also get that type of action. But yeah, that was it. So large gap day, large gap up. I'm looking to be a seller for the gap and then to be a buyer in the direction of the gap.